I did a reel over the summer that ruffled some feathers, and it basically said that like, so anytime I talk about the idea that youth sports are not about winning primarily, it's about teaching kids the tools and developing kids into human beings. Inevitably, I get someone in the comments saying life is all about wins and losses. And I did this reel and I said, like, if you think life is about wins and losses, you're never going to be satisfied, because the truth is you can never truly win at life. There's no final scoreboard or trophy at the end of it. There's just this never ending mix of new challenges that keep evolving as we grow. And so like, if we can't learn to find joy in the journey, then we're always going to be chasing that next win. And none of them are going to be, they might feel nice for a moment, but then it's like, all right, well, I beat that boss. What's the next boss? What's the next thing? And we never can actually enjoy or be satisfied with whatever we go through if we're always chasing wins.
Yeah. Well, Simon Sinek calls that the infinite game, right? And it's like we get to make our parameters. So, like, if I want to be obsessed with wins and losses, we didn't win the national championship last year, but we made the national championship. So if I just say like making the final four is like that's the end all be all, then I win. I beat everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't win the national championship, but I can make my timeline to be like, hey, it's all about wins and losses because look, I won. But I have a tendency to think like people like that like don't focus on the losses. It's like it's all about wins and losses, but it's actually only about wins. Like one thing with my kids that I love about my job in particular is that they get to see me lose. Like they get to
Mm-hmm.
see me work really hard, bring my laptop home, watch film, do all that, and then we go out and we lose. And it's like, man, that was hard. And like I was trying really hard to win and I lost. And like that's okay. Like I'm going to show up and the team's going to be there and we're going to fix what we did wrong or what we can do better. Or maybe we did a lot of things right and it just didn't go our way. But like I feel like if you're not in sports or something that has a scoreboard as your profession, then it's really easy to hide the losses from your kids because all of us win and lose. Like, oh man, like we didn't get that big account, or if I'm a project manager and it didn't happen on time or whatever, we just sometimes bring that stress home. We don't talk about the fact that like I worked really hard at this and I lost, but
Mm-hmm.
like that's okay, and I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to get better. I feel like that's like the best lessons that we can teach our kids, as opposed to, hey, it's about wins and losses, so we always need to be winning. It's like no,
Right.
like if it's going to be about wins and losses, we need to realize that losing is an intimate dance partner to winning, and like those both happen, a lot, and it's like it's okay when both happen. So I don't know. Every time I hear that, I always think like I think you said it's about winning and losing, but you're making the timeline, so it's only about winning.
Yeah. And to see your hero, because your kids are still young enough where you are their hero, to see your hero fail and get up from it. Like that is a lesson that we can teach our kids that I don't know how big of an impact that can be, because I didn't really get to have that growing up. I don't know if you did or not. Like I saw my dad struggle, but he tried to hide it from me because he was trying to
Yeah.
protect me. But I've tried to be very intentional of when to open that window with my kids. And obviously I make websites and graphic designs. Like, so I don't have public wins and losses like you do, but like when something happens and I'm bummed out about something, like I'll tell my kids like, hey, I know you don't understand this, but like, I might not want to play tonight because this happened and I'm bummed. I'm bummed about it. And I just need to feel this for a few minutes and then I'll bounce back, but just give me some time to feel this and we'll move forward. Hopefully by doing that, I can model to them like, hey, it's okay to be disappointed. I was telling you before we started recording, like I realized in counseling a few years ago that I never learned how to process disappointment growing up. So what happened with that was I would inevitably, without even realizing it, run from any opportunity if I thought it wouldn't be a success. The second that failure became possible, I would bail on it. I would either find an excuse not to do it, or I would just shut it down and not even try. And looking back, I mean, I was a sophomore at Coastal Carolina University, and I interviewed with Kevin Schnall, their current head coach, to be a manager for their baseball team. Like I'm watching the College World Series this year. He's coaching in that. And like I didn't go to my second interview with him to become a manager for that baseball team because I was scared I wouldn't be good enough. And things ended up working out in the end. But what would have been different if I could have gotten past that fear of disappointment at 19 years old? How would my college experience have been different? Could I, who knows? But I just use as one example of, if we can teach our kids now that disappointment is okay and normal and healthy, and teach them how to feel that, like, they become fearless because they realize that disappointment is just a normal part of the journey. They're not scared
Yeah.
of it anymore.
Well, and like you said, you're chasing big things then. Like, you know, if you're never feeling disappointment, it's like, what situations are you really putting yourself in? And, you know, circling it back to our kids, it reminds me, so my son, you know, all three of my kids are named after baseball players. And there's some weird Freudian thing with this. I was terrible at baseball. I was scared of the ball. You know, I had a great arm. Like, I could fire it in there. And if there was no batter, it was like, this guy can pitch. And then the second you put a batter in there, I don't think I threw a strike in my life. Like, baseball just had this mental hook on me. So, you know, I end up having kids. I'm a big Cubs fan, so all my kids are named after Cubs. So there's got to be some connection there of the sport that just ate at me that my kids are named after them. So they don't have a ton of interest in baseball. We throw the ball a little bit here and there. My oldest, he plays t-ball, and then COVID happens and everything kind of shuts down, and so we took a break, and he went away for 2 3 years, and he came back, and he skipped coach pitch, machine pitch, all that stuff, and he goes right to kid pitch. And you know, he's a good athlete and everything, but like, these kids have been playing 3 4 years and they're pretty legit. And so he just, I mean, he's batting last. He gets up there and he's aggressive. He swings 3 times and strikes out pretty much the whole year. And then the very end of the year, he had this moment where, like, I jumped on the cage. I was so excited. He had this game-winning hit in this big game. It was so fun. And then he was like, after that, he's like, I don't ever want to play again, because it's like he did this hard thing, and like, he's like you said, he'll run from disappointment, but like, I was so proud that he stuck through that whole year,
Yeah.
and then he got that hit, and I know in his like 10-year-old brain he was like, this is the tip of the iceberg, like, this is the culmination. It is not going to get better than this. Let's go out on top, you
Yep.
know. And I respected that. I was like, you know what, like, he could work really hard and he could catch up, but he's kind of fine with, like, that was a fun year and experience that I had. And you know, he plays football and he plays volleyball now. He does all that stuff. He's like, that was the baseball thing for me.
Yeah.
And so for me, my initial reaction was like, do you see? Like, look at that. You had the game winning hit. Like, now you could do that again next year. Maybe you can move up in the order. You could, because he's got a good arm and all this stuff. And he's just like, no, it's like, that was a great experience and I'm done with the baseball thing. And maybe you'll find it 3 4 years from now. But like, that was a learning moment for me where I was like, he's going to be who he's going to be. And that's kind of cool. Like, I think he's probably going to tell that baseball story his whole life.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, I had this one thing. He only played 1 year, you know? But I don't know. It made me think of that, of like running from disappointment, because that, I struggle with him a little bit. I think the kids we have that we struggle with the most are the most like us. And so when he runs from disappointment, it reminds me probably of my childhood of
Hmm.
like, oh, I wish I would have. So you should. And it's like, as I've started to just accept he's going to be who he's going to be, and he rubs me the wrong way when he does the things that I'm upset at myself about. We've had a much better relationship moving forward that we're still working on.